Okay, this is a quick overview of what we have installed in the DNS server, which is basically we have configured the network, provided the name and the domain, as you can see here. We have also enabled our Active Directories through adding roles and add features. You can see that we have the group policies and remote server administrative tools have been activated. But the role section, you can see the Active Directory domain services, the HCP server, the DNS server, and the file server is activated. So now we are going to see if we have connection in between the server and a client machine, and I've already set up Windows Vista as well, and you can see the two networks are basically connecting here. So I'm going to, sorry, not the two networks, the two client machines are showing that connection. So I'm going to see if I could actually sign in as a administrator and see if the client, which is my Vista machine in the HR department machine, actually is going to be able to get a new IP address through the IP config. Well, we are going to check our adapter settings to see that we can actually obtain an IP address. We're going to local connection and properties again. I've already opened it. We're going into our local area connection properties. We go into the Internet Protocol version 4. We're going to continue and have this set as obtain IP address automatically. Press OK. Also the DNS as well. Click OK. You're going to come out of this. Click OK again. As we can see, it was already configured. We have configured the IP addresses to receive automatically. Now we have to go and open a command prompt, and then we'll open this as an administrator account or run as an administrator, and you can see the C drive, the user administrator. Now we are going to type in ipconfig. We're going to type in ipconfig all, and you shall see all the information come up. As you can see, as we enter the ipconfig /all, the Windows IP configurations and Ethernet adapters have shown up here. You can see here the host name, which is ASL WinVista, our primary DNS suffix, which is the ASL.com, the type of node, the IP address, routing if it's enabled, the WINS proxy if it's enabled, and both of them are no. The local area connections. You can see other information on the command prompt, which is basically the IP address that it's currently using, date of access and the length of the lease, default gateway, the server, the HCP server and DNS server IP addresses, as well as the physical to the IPv version 6, which is basically not set up with this one. So now what we have to do is go and release the IP address and see if we could get back another IP address for it. So we basically type in ipconfig /release. Type in the ipconfig release, and it's released the IP address, and I've already asked to renew the IP address as well, which you can see here through ipconfig renew, and it has been given back the IP address that was originally assigned to it, which is the 192.168.0.40. So I'm going to type back in the ipconfig all. Well, as you can see that I have already placed in the ipconfig all again, and if you compare, you can see we got back the same IP address as before, and if you look again, you can see that the renew dates are basically the same, but just when you watch the timing of it, it's different. And you can see here, this is the IP address of it, front times and releases, and the same IP address. So now we are going back to the Windows Server to configure our DNS settings now. So we go into Start, Administrative Tools. DNS is Domain Name Services, and it does basically two things. It's basically being able to convert the IP address into a name, and as well as backwards from an IP address to a name, as it would be easier for information to be information into the web address, which is like www. That's what it's basically used for. As you can see, we have the global logs, forward lookup zones, reverse lookup zone, and the conditional forwarder. In our global logs, you can basically see the DNS events, the logs, custom log error records, and stuff like that, which is filtered. But for our forward lookup zone, this is where all our Active Directory information could be accessed from. As we open up here, you can see that the Active Directory is actually integrated in both the server of, and you can see that is the ASL.com here. When you click on the plus button, you can basically go into each and every one of these icons. You can see the DC domain, the same as the parent folder, and the alias CNAME as well. In the ASL.com server part of it, you can see how the hosts are actually added into the server, which is the Windows Vista, the Windows XP, Windows 7, and you can see the IP addresses that are assigned to the clients, as well as you can see the time it was actually the timestamp it was given these IP addresses. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to actually add a new forward lookup zone. You right click on the forward lookup zone, press new. You'll see the wizard come up. It's asking you for a primary, secondary subzone. We are basically we're going into a primary zone. In this part of the wizard, they will be asking you to how do you want the data replicated, if it's basically for this domain server alone or in the on the DNS server for us. I'm going to leave it on this server alone. As click next, it's going to ask you a zone name. Actually, I'll be using ASL new zone.asl. Click next. In this area, it's asking you to how we are going to dynamically update, whether secure or unsecure, and we click next. As you can see, this is the new information on the forward lookup zone that's there. Click finish, and you can see the new ASL forward lookup zone is installed in the DNS server. Now we are going to deal with the domain name namespace, which is basically now dealing with the DNS namespace. The DNS namespace is basically the hierarchical layout of a DNS name. The namespace is laid out in an inverted tree form. The top of the DNS namespace is the root, and it's defined by the null character. The root is normally explicit, specifically in user's application, but when specified, is denoted by a trailing period. There are top-level domains below the root called TLDs, or top-level domains. The remainder of the namespace is open for use and should not be more than 127 levels assigned. You can also register the TLDs, which is top-level domains, and basically the next slide will show you the actual hierarchical format, which you can see is the root, and it's subdivided into the different types of top-level domains, and then the host, the types of domains just below it, and the host used by hierarchical specimens of the entire tree format, forest I should say. Okay, back at my client server, which is the Vista, I'm going to try and use the NS lookup to see if I can locate my new forward zone that I had created in the Windows Vista Server 2008, and I'm going to use the NS lookup, see if I could get any information that is used on server to activate that I activated, that which is ASL new zone. It actually sent the a ping request to find out if it was there. It is actually there, but it's not. The server name is unknown, and you could see the IP address that it was given automatically, and you get the name, the ASL new zone name as well has come up. This is the IP address that it's running out of. So let's see if I could actually look up for my domain name server as well. Let's go back to ns lookup, and I'm gonna try esl.com and see what information we get back from it. It's basically the same information. So now after this, I am going to see if I can actually do a remote desktop from this client back to the server. I need to just go set it up in the server 2008, and just basically going to activate the remote desktop feature, which is to enable it. You just click on the enable and you basically will see remote desktop, well, system properties. You'll be seeing the remote assistant, remote desktop as well. Click on the action and then specify who can connect if necessary. Use allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with the network level authentication, which is more secure. This is where we have chosen to activate it through the firewall. Let's click OK and press apply. I'm going to add a specific user that I had added into the server a while back, which is dhcp. We just basically press add, type in his name, dhcp, click check name. You'll see his name come up. Press OK. OK again, and we are out of here. Now we can go to the client server and as well as do the same thing with it, which we go to start. After you go to computer, you press system property, then we go into remote settings, then again we go back into allow connections only to users only from computers running remote desktop with network level authentication, which we press, click on it, click add, apply, then we go into users, select users, and we'll be doing the same thing. You just click add again. We're going to press check name again, have the server, the client look for it in the ASL domain name. His name will come up. Press OK. OK again. You can see it's this is the only remote desktop user allowed to access the domain remotely. Click OK again. Click OK.